If we start now, we can be ready for the next epidemic. These were Bill Gates' words exactly 5 years from now during his TED Talk speech. Name? The next outbreak. We're not ready. Bill Gates. Welcome back to Gorma Guitar's channel. My name is Gorma Guitar. I hope you guys and your families are safe out there during this pandemic. And today I am going to actually react Bill Gates' video 5 years ago where he predicted the coronavirus. Subscribe to our channel and be sure to click on the bell icon. We bring you quality content that will help you navigate through tough times a bit better. That being said, thumbs up the video and let's go ahead and start.
When I was a kid, the disaster we worried about most was a nuclear war. That's why we had a barrel like this down in our basement.
That's so true. When I was a kid, the biggest weapon that I could have think of or I saw around on the TV, it was actually a nuclear weapon.
Filled with cans of food and water. When the nuclear attack came, we were supposed to go downstairs, hunker down, and eat out of that barrel. Today, the greatest risk of global catastrophe doesn't look like this. Instead, it looks like this.
This is crazy. How much of this virus reminds you of the coronavirus image? Just take a look at it. Pay attention.
If anything kills over 10 million people in the next few decades, it's most likely to be a highly infectious virus rather than a war. Not missiles, but microbes.
Did you hear that? Not missiles, but microbes. This is crazy.
Now, part of the reason for this is that we have invested a huge amount in nuclear deterrence, but we've actually invested very little in a system to stop an epidemic. We're not ready.
And we're all seeing the effects of us not being ready for an epidemic virus attack on humanity. We see what's happening. No country was ready for this, and it's spreading fast.
For the next epidemic. Let's look at Ebola. I'm sure all of you read about it in the newspaper. Lots of tough challenges. I followed it carefully through the case analysis tools we use to track polio eradication. And as you look at what went on, the problem wasn't that there was a system that didn't work well enough. The problem was that we didn't have a system at all.
Did you guys get that? So in other words, what Mr. Gates is saying, when Ebola happened, the world actually got hit by this disease. We were lucky that it didn't spread as fast as coronavirus, or it wasn't as contagious as coronavirus. But in other words, Bill Gates is saying Ebola attack showed us that we were not ready for a global virus epidemic.
In fact, there are some pretty obvious key missing pieces. We didn't have a group of epidemiologists ready to go who would have gone, seen what the disease was, see how far it had spread. The case reports came in on paper. It was very delayed before they were put online, and they were extremely...
Can you imagine that? The results came through paper. By the time paper reached from point A to point B, the disease probably spread faster.
We didn't have a medical team ready to go. We didn't have a way of preparing people. Now, Médecins Sans Frontières did a great job orchestrating volunteers, but even so, we were far slower than we should have been getting the thousands of workers into these countries. And a large epidemic would require us to have hundreds of thousands of workers.
So in other words, we were understaffed as far as the medical help and assistance needed for the people that were affected.
There was no one there to look at treatment approaches, no one to look at the diagnostics, no one to figure out what tools should be used. As an example, we could have taken the blood of survivors, processed it, and put that plasma back in people to protect them.
Did you hear that? Bill Gates indirectly just gave the cure for a virus disease.
But that was never tried. So there was a lot.
It was never tried.
That was missing. And these things are really a global failure. The WHO is funded to monitor epidemics, but not to do these things I talked about. Now in the movies, it's quite different.
Now, monitoring a disease is one thing, finding a cure for the disease is a whole another thing.
There's a group of handsome epidemiologists ready to go. They move in, they save the day, but that's just pure Hollywood. The failure to prepare could allow the next epidemic to be dramatically more devastating than Ebola.
Guys, let me remind you, this is Bill Gates making a speech in April 3rd, 2015, 5 years ago. He is comparing what Ebola should have taught us, and he is saying basically how to prepare for the next biggest attack on humanity, which is not going to be through nuclear weapons and warfare. Instead of that, it's going to be actually a virus. It's going to be a chemical attack.
Let's look at the progression of Ebola over this year. About 10,000 people died, and nearly all were in the 3 West African countries. There's 3 reasons why it didn't spread more. The first is there was a lot of heroic work by the health workers. They found the people and they...
This goes to show how important it is for the health workers to be safe and stay safe and get enough rest so they can actually help people. They are working day and night. For that, I want us to take this moment and thank you guys for actually doing and being the heroes for our humanity.
Prevented more infections. The second is the nature of the virus. Ebola does not spread through the air. And by the time you're contagious, most people are so sick that they're bedridden. Third, it didn't get into many urban areas, and that was just luck. If it gotten into a lot more urban areas, the case numbers would have been much larger. So next time we might not be so lucky.
Pay attention to what Bill Gates is saying right here. This was 5 years ago. Pay attention.
You can have a virus where people feel well enough while they're infectious that they get on a plane or they go to a market. The source of the virus could be a natural epidemic like Ebola, or it could be bioterrorism.
So it could be natural or it could be by terrorism. Either way, he just literally said there are viruses who are going to be more fatal and spread a lot faster than Ebola. This speech is 5 years ago. So what he's saying is, you might be contagious, you might be carrying the virus, but you won't have any symptoms, you won't have any feelings. However, that will not stop the virus being spread.
And so there are things that would literally make things 1,000 times worse. In fact, let's look at a model of a virus spread through the air like the Spanish flu back in 1918. So here's what would happen. It would spread throughout the world very, very quickly. And you can see there's over 30 million people die from that epidemic. So this is a serious problem. We should be concerned. But in fact, we can build a really good response system.
There you go. Now, Bill is offering actually a solution for the future, embracing ourselves for any viruses or any biochemical attack, whether that's by nature or by terrorism.
We have the benefits of all the science and technology that we talk about here. We've got cell phones to get information from the public and get information out to them. We have satellite maps where we can see where people are and where they're moving. We have advances in biology that should dramatically change the turnaround time to look at a pathogen and be able to make drugs and vaccines that fit for that pathogen. So we can have tools, but those tools need to be put into an overall global health system, and we need preparedness.
We need preparedness. That's what he's preaching from 5 years ago, preparedness.
The best lessons, I think, on how to get prepared are, again, what we do for war. For soldiers, we have full-time, waiting to go. We have reserves that can scale us up to large numbers. NATO has a mobile unit that can deploy very rapidly. NATO does a lot of war games to check are people well-trained, Do they understand about fuel and logistics and the same radio frequencies? So they are absolutely ready to go.
So did you hear that? Our armies are ready to go. Even the NATO is ready to go. But as far as biological impacts, viruses go, they are not ready.
So those are the kinds of things we need to deal with an epidemic. What are the key pieces? First is we need strong health systems in poor countries. That's where mothers can give birth safely, kids can get all their vaccines, but also where we'll see the outbreak very early on. We need a medical reserve corps.
In other words, you'll be able to catch the disease a lot sooner.
The people who've got the training and background who are ready to go with the expertise. And then we need to pair those medical people with the military, taking advantage of the military's ability to move fast, do logistics, and secure areas. We need to do simulations, germ games, not war games, so that we see where the holes are.
Yes, by germ games, he's talking about transferring data, communicating data, and working together so we can come up with solutions.
The last time a germ game was done in the United States was back in 2001, and it didn't go so well. So far, the score is germs 1, people 0. Finally, we need lots of advanced R&D in areas of vaccines and diagnostics. There are some big breakthroughs like the adeno-associated virus that could work very, very quickly. Now, I don't have an exact budget for what this would cost, but I'm quite sure it's very modest compared to the potential harm. The World Bank...
That's very true. It's expected for America to actually lose 4 trillion. Yes, that's with a T.
Bank estimates that if we have a worldwide flu epidemic, global wealth will go down by over $3 trillion, and we'd have millions and millions of deaths. These investments offer significant benefits beyond just being ready for the epidemic. The primary health care, the R&D, those things would reduce global health equity and make the world more just as well as more safe. So I think this should absolutely be a priority. There's no need to panic. We don't have to hoard cans of spaghetti or go down into the basement, but we need to get going because time is not on our side. In fact, if there's one positive thing that can come out of the Ebola epidemic, it's that it can serve as an early warning, a wake-up call to get ready. If we start now, we can be ready for the next epidemic. Thank you.
Wow, that was powerful. If we start now, we can be ready for the next world epidemic. This was 5 years ago. I want to end this video on a positive note, guys. 5 years ago, when the Ebola attack happened, we were not ready for it. However, we did not learn from it. This time around, coronavirus is far greater and more impactful on a global scale than Ebola ever was. So that being said, I don't think we're going to forget about the situation we're living right now. That being said, we will learn from this and we will make sure, at least we should make sure, that this is the last time the humanity is going to suffer from biological attack, whether that's natural or unnatural. Subscribe to our channel if you have not, and be sure to activate the bell notification. Give this video a big thumbs up, and I want you to check out next video of how you can make money in any business cycle, whether you're going up, you're on top, or you're going down. That being said, my name is Gorma Guitar. I thank you for watching. Watch that video next.